So the first group we're going to talk about here is going to be James Cook and Damien Harris for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah,
So I'll let Chris kick this one off. Yeah, go ahead, Chris, because this is one that you wanted to talk about for sure. And I'm higher on James Cook, I think, than you might be. But I want to hear what you got to say.
I think they're pretty neck and neck. Like, obviously, I think what James Cook was able to do in the playoffs last year, he's going to have an expanded role this year. But I don't think he's going to take a huge role in that backfield. I think the fact that they brought in Damien Harris and they didn't bring in another backup meant that they really wanted to continue to have a veteran as the every down back. And I still think that that's where James Cook is I think he's going to get a lot more of a role as a pass catcher out of the backfield, which was kind of what we saw him develop to in the second half of the season last year. But I think Damien Harris is still going to be that first and second down back that Devin Singletary was last year. Damien Harris has proven himself year in and year out with the Patriots that he can get in. He's a great red zone running back. He can get in the end zone. I think it's going to take a lot off of Josh Allen's plate. And I just don't see James Cook. I don't necessarily think this is a 1A, 1B situation, but I've seen James Cook being taken higher on drafts than Damien Harris. And if James Cook goes a round in front of where I want him to, then I'm perfectly happy taking Damien Harris in the round after. I don't think either one of them is going to be like an extremely potent back. Obviously, with Josh Allen there, he's going to take a lot of the big chunk carries. He's going to get goal line work. So I'm not looking for – I don't think either one of these guys is going to get in the top 20 running backs. However, that doesn't mean that they can't have value, and that doesn't mean either one of them can't be a really good flex play for you. So I do like both of them. Let me clarify that. But I think that Damien Harris is a better value for where you're going to get him because you can probably get him a round or two after James Cook goes.
Yes, and I agree. Here's the thing that I think about this backfield. I love James Cook. You're not going to find a better athlete running back in that Buffalo backfield than him. So they're going to find ways to get him the ball. But that being said, he can't be on the field every single down. And there were some growing pains his rookie season as well, some drops, some fumbles, and there was stuff that he was trying to work through. And obviously, Devin Singletary, being the veteran on the team before, had a much more stronger grip on that backfield to begin with. That being said, Cook still had 89 carries for 507 yards, had a 5.7 yard per rush, and 2 touchdowns. Now, a lot of that came towards the tail end of the season, but the dude still was in there during passing downs, and he was still getting 21 catches for 180 yards. I mean, posting at 8.6 yards per catch is pretty good for a running back there. Damien Harris wasn't much of the pass catcher really ever. He never topped 18 receptions for the Patriots. So we know James Cook has a stranglehold on that part of the game. The part that Damien Harris thrived with the Patriots up until last year when he started getting injured a little bit was the fact that when it came down to goal line time, he's who they went to punch the ball in the end zone. And I think you may see like a similar scenario in that aspect where when we're talking about standard fantasy football scoring here, touchdowns really do matter. I don't care how many balls James Cook gets at the backfield. He ends up with one receiving touchdown like he did last year. And, Damien Harris ended up with 15 rushing touchdowns 2 years ago. You gotta weigh that option when you're deciding. And if you want a piece of this backfield, the beauty for Damien Harris here is it's open for him in those goal line spots. Now, obviously, it's a high passing volume offense. You can't forget that. And because of that, it is going to cater towards Cook a lot, and it is going to cater to speed a lot, where Cook is going to thrive. However, when push comes to shove, do you think Buffalo wants to keep handing it to Josh Allen every single time? Or if they've got a back they can give it to that they could trust, it's going to get that 1 yard line or 2 yards, especially on the goal line? Obviously, the percentage play for Josh Allen's great, but do you want to get your quarterback hurt? I don't know. I think you're going to see not necessarily 1A, 1B like you did say. I think James Cook is going to be more of the one running back here, but I will say he's going to probably lose touchdowns to Damien Harris when we get in the red zone because Damien Harris finds the end zone, has a knack for it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And this is a solid point to bring up because I think in a lot of these these offenses that have mobile quarterbacks. Now, this is going to, of all the mobile quarterbacks, the Eagles and the Bills are the most pass heavy. They're not designed around the run, right? You know, we have Baltimore and Chicago where it's really designed to run and read and run the read option. But I think in all those scenarios, you have to like the running backs because they're getting a lot of misdirection carries. You look at Singletary's efficiency last year, and I think Harris and Singletary are very similar style runners. So I think we can expect a lot of what Singletary did last year to kind of transfer over into what Damien Harris is going to do this year with them. Now, I don't expect them to be, top tier running backs. And you look at all these running backs, except for Miles Sanders last year, all the running backs in those kind of quarterback run systems are never top tier guys, but they're extremely efficient with the ball. And they have the chance to score touchdowns. You're just going to lose a lot of the touchdowns, especially the goal line work, to the quarterback.
Yeah.
So I do. The other point I want to bring up is that if Damien Harris, he got hurt a little bit last year. He was kind of banged up 2 years ago, which led Ramondre Stevenson to kind of have a breakout rookie season and kind of step into the fold a little bit. But if anything happened to Damien Harris, I love James Cook.
James Cook is immediately a RB2 with RB1 upside because of that offense.
Yeah, just because of that offense and the volume of so many people last year and the year before were off of Devin Singletary, and Devin Singletary, quietly had a really good season. 2 years ago, he was one of the reasons that I made a huge playoff push and made a run into the playoffs. And early in the season, he's getting 6-8 points a week, but he has the opportunity to have those 20-point weeks because so many people are keen on Josh Allen that he's going to have a lot of open looks. He's going to be able to break a lot of 20-yard runs off because there's no one on that second level for him to compete with because the linebackers are flowing with Josh Allen.
They're flowing with Josh Allen and they're flowing with the tight ends.
Right.
I mean, the fact that you got to worry about Dalton Cade and Dawson Knox, that makes it a little bit more easier. And that's why you saw people with Singletary last year having 4.6 yards per carry, but only have 177 carries. It's like James Cook only had 89 carries, so the total offensive carries are low. So you can't expect a ton from that. But again, like you said, there's room for both these guys in this backfield. And to close out our discussion on these two, which is why we like the value of Damien Harris over James Cook, is where people may be taking James Cook in your drafts may be too high for your liking. And you can settle in nicely having Damien Harris as a flex play, if not sitting on your bench as your RB3 option, because this offense is going to score points. And even when they're up big points, who may be getting the ball, and it may be Damien Harris. In the red zone, you could be confident that he could be the guy that may go to for the end zone, and you got to be ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Damien Harris is, I think I'd prefer him, and he's right there in kind of the same category and grouping, but I like him probably better than Brian Robinson or Antonio Gibson, those kind of guys. So if James Cook goes off the board one round earlier, I'm totally fine with just grabbing Damien Harris the round after.
You may be able to get him even a round after that, because I don't think a lot of people are going to be stabbing for him, just because I think that Cook is what everybody has on their board as this is going to be the guy.
The shiny new object.
It is.